Kai and Nick. If you guys haven't subscribed, please go subscribe and go tell a friend that's gonna tell a friend that's gonna tell uncle, cousin, and mama them to get in the mix with Kai and Nick. And from the title, I know you guys are looking like, how do I know God is real? Is it because what I heard my mother say or my grandmother say? Have I ever seen him? Have I ever felt him? Like, how do I know really that God is real? Well, I'm about to tell you guys how I know from my own personal experiences that God is real. I know God is real because he speaks to me. And for non-believers or people that are not in tune with God spiritually, I know you're probably thinking, like, how do he speak to you? Like, how? Like, do he, like, you know, how do you know that it's him? How do you know it's his voice? Like, how? How do you really know? Well, as a child, I used to have a lot of dreams, a lot of visions. It was unexplainable. In previous videos, I stated that I would go ask people, like, what does this mean? Or what do you think that this means? And they had no answer. Some of them thought I was, like, off my rocks. Like, really? I never heard of that before, but he speaks to me in ways that I feel, because my mind is like a constant go. Day after day, I'm always thinking. I'm a thinker. And I feel that that's the time that he speaks to me most, is when I'm asleep, when I'm still, when my mind is clear, and he's able to throw things and show me things. Like, I have dreams about people that they may be going through a certain situation, and I had no idea in my waking life, but when I come up from a dream and I begin to pray for them, or I might send them a scripture, or I might send them a song, and they text me back like, you had no idea that I was actually going through this thing. Like, there have been plenty of times I sent off scriptures or sent off songs or just calling to say hello or checking on somebody. They just like, you have no idea that I was going through this. Like, how do you know? Like, my auntie, I sent her something, like a couple of songs, and she would reply back, I don't know how you know this, but I needed this. And I'm like, I feel that it's just the Holy Spirit making intercession between myself and, other people. Like, he shows me a lot of stuff, and I feel that he shows me because he knows that I have no shame to go back and tell people what I saw, or what he told me, or what he showed me. Like, just pretty much spreading like the gospel. Like, this is not no far-fetched thing. This is not something that's made up. Like, this is real. God gave me this responsibility as a server to pretty much spread his gospel. And I say that because, for an example, if I have to tell somebody something that I normally wouldn't say, but if God put it on my heart to tell them, like, tell them this, or tell them don't do that, or, do this or do that. And I always say that I don't want them to get mad at me, but I'd rather have them mad at me than God be mad at me, because what I could have said to them at the moment might have hurt them, but down the line spiritually, it helped them. And I don't want to have that blood on my hands when it's all said and done and we're standing in the line and he's looking at me like, I gave you a responsibility to tell this person that, or tell her, or tell him, and you never did. So by you not informing them, it caused them to astray, and I don't want that blood on my hands. I tell people that all the time, like, I don't want the blood on my hands. So what I'm telling you is strictly from God. It ain't from me, because at the end of the day, you wrong, you're gonna do what you want to do regardless. Just know that he told me to tell you this. I gave it to you, and you go from there. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Please don't. It's several times I could have lost my life. Several times. And one specific, I remember I was younger, probably my early 20s, and I was hanging with a guy. He was like kind of had a bad boy image, but we were all hanging out, and we pulled at a liquor store, and a car pulled alongside us, and the look in his eyes was like despair. Like, he looked at me like, who was that? I'm like, I don't know. And the cars was just like side by side, and I'm looking and thinking in an instant, like, I'm about to die. Like, you know, and my family gonna find me and they gonna be looking, people gonna be looking like, what was she doing in the car with him anyway, you know, like stuff like that. And in an instance, like it could have been over, but the guy rolled the window down and obviously they knew each other and he all like, hey, oh, what up? I didn't know that was you or whatever. So in an instant, I'm thinking like, I could have been out of there because I know people in several situations, especially in Michigan. I remember it was a time where young ladies were losing their lives like at the drop of a dime. Like they find them in abandoned houses, they finding them burned in back trunks of cars and stuff like that, and you know, finding them in open fields and stuff like that. So it's like that could have been me a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? Like it could have been me, wrong place at the wrong time, or hanging around the wrong people at the wrong time. So it's like, it could have been me. House fires could have lost my life. Car accidents could have lost my life. I know people that died like so young that they didn't even have a chance to live. You know what I'm saying? They never had a chance to live. Just like I told you, I was in the car with that guy. It could have been over for me, but I know somebody that didn't have that chance to rethink what they did and change their ways. You know, and I feel that God was with me every step of the way. Every step of the way. I know with some people, and my husband and I were talking about this, that didn't have a chance or didn't have God spare them the way he spared us. So if that's not God moving, I don't know what to tell you. I feel people don't want to hear things such as this because it's not gonna go viral. It ain't drama or doing anything for them. You know, like I say, people feed off negativity. People feed off drama. So that's what they want. They want drama. And it's like, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We don't have time to do that. Like, we have a job to do. We were put here to do a job, and we're gonna do just that. So I feel that I'm gonna give it to you whether you want to hear it or not. What the Bible say, preach in season and out of season. We gonna do what we gotta do whether they want to hear it or not, because when it's all said and done, I never want nobody to say, I didn't know. Why didn't nobody tell me? I didn't know. So I don't want them to use that excuse. People don't intune themselves into stuff such as this that will help them along the way, and they can help others. They want drama. They want something to go viral. They want to do something stupid, you know, and put themselves in that, you know, in that light. And it's like, for what? 10 seconds of fame? Like, really? Like, is it really that bad, where you're willing to stoop to any level to be, you know, seen or heard? It's not worth it. It's really not. I'm gonna just let you guys know right now, it's not even worth it. There was also a young man that my husband and I were still praying for. In one of the videos, I think I did actually a testimony towards him or whatever, and he's still incarcerated. We still, you know, praying that he comes home. But there's a recent situation to where God put him on my spirit. He was on my spirit heavy, I think Friday. He was just thinking about him, like, you know, just thinking about him. So I'm like, damn, let me go pray for him. Like, just pray, just hearing God say, pray for him, pray for him. So I went to go pray for him, and Sunday, I got some news that one of his lady friends, you know, good lady friend of his, had passed away tragically. And it crushed me because it's like, what the heck? She was a kid, 19 years old, like, never had a chance to live. Like I said, never got to learn from the mistakes like we did. We made mistakes, 18, 19, 20, you know, still making them to this day, but she never got a chance to write that, and that didn't sit well with me, because it's like, dang, you, and I look at me and I look at her, like at 19, I was, you know, like, wow, you know, and thank by the grace of God that he spared me through those situations to where he could have took me a long time ago. But yes, God put him on my heart to just constantly pray for him, and I didn't know why until that happened. So it was like, dang, you know, and I felt for him, because the night before, maybe Thursday going into Friday, I had a dream about him that he was in our home, in our basement, just praying. Like, had his face down to the ground, like praying. And I looked it up, and, you know, to see what that meant. And I know the basement of a home represents humbleness, like you at your lowest. And I'm like, dang, like, and it just, pieces start coming together. Like, oh, this is why you had me pray for him, because this was gonna happen. and he's away, so he can't grieve and mourn with his family and his friends around him. So he got hold to the news, and obviously, he didn't pretty much take it too well, and he was very, very, very hurt by it. And I'm asking God, like, when I got the news, I'm asking him, like, what is going on? Like, what happened? Like, why? Like, I'm flabbergasted. Like, I don't know. Like, why? And I heard God calmly, he said, I'm clearing the path. I said, you clearing the path? It's like, thought about it. I told my husband, I prayed on it. And what I got from it was, she and him together, I want to say it's a bad combination, but they didn't bring the good out of each other, is what I'm saying. Like, he loved her, she loved him, but them two together, it didn't bring so much good out of, that situation. So I feel he's coming home, but before he comes home, he wants to clear his path. Anything that held him back, anything that caused him to be in the position where he is, anything that's hindering his growth with God and his walk with God, God's clearing that path. And God rest her soul, God bless her family, but I took it just as that, like, okay, you making some changes and adjustments. Who am I to tell you you shouldn't have did that? Like, it hurted. God knows it hurted to see her like that, but I'm not questioning God. And I hear and I pray for her mother, because her mother's not, as any mother that lost their kid tragically, you're not gonna sit too well. Lost a kid anyway or anyhow, whatever. It's not gonna sit too well. And I pray her strength in the Lord, because she's struggling in her faith right now because of that. And I truly pray for her. And also, I just want people to know that when people pass away, people always give credit to the enemy. Like, oh, God would have did this, the enemy did, devil, caused this to happen. And what people don't fail to realize is that the enemy don't get no life. The devil don't give life. So therefore he can't take life. He can make life hell for us if we let him, but he can't give nor take. He had to have permission. So that should tell you something. Right now. That should tell you something. And I also feel that, to me, there's two storms. There's a storm where God is testing the water. Might shake up a little something for you, to strengthen your faith. And there's another storm I feel that we create our own self. We go out and do stuff out the will of God. We go, do what we want to do, and then we're looking like, why God? Why is this happening to me? And people get to questioning their faith, but it's like, you did that. God gave us free will to do whatever it is we please, and he already told you the answer, choose life. But we choose to go do what we want to do, and he still has favor, grace, and mercy that's following us. So before this young man went to jail, his faith was as a Christian. So when he got there, his beliefs began to change, and he started saying that he pretty much didn't need Jesus to get to God. And I'm looking like, And there's plenty of times God spoke to me and told me to tell him this. But the last conversation that rung in my mind with God, because he brought it back. And he said, tell him I want my glory. He said that previously. And it dawned on me, like, if you change your beliefs to believe that you don't need Jesus, however, if God can speak to you directly, then how come he's using me to send messages to you? If that's the case, why don't he just speak to you? Reason for being, he can't hear you. You turned your back on him. He still loves you, and he's still gonna guide you. However, he can't hear you. He can't hear you. He cannot hear you right now. So therefore, he's going to use somebody that can hear him to tell him what I said. I just feel like this is his faith walk. We all have to have our faith walk. Like sometimes your testimony can only go so far in a sense. It's like sometimes people got to experience certain things for themselves. Just like you tell a kid, don't put your hand in that, it's hot. They know it's hot, but they just want to see. You know, they just want to, just to see if it's hot. But I truly feel God is going to do a turnaround in that young man's life, because he's going through great lengths to show him, to get him to bend his knee, to humble him, and pretty much experience him for himself, so therefore nobody else can tell him about God, because he actually experienced him. So I feel that he's taking him through that. But yeah, he used me to tell him certain things and deliver messages and, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, pretty much like I said, if God can talk to you one-on-one like that without Jesus, you a bad man to pull that off. But it don't work like that. And I feel that he's showing them, like, okay, if that's the case, y'all talk. Like, what do you need me to go tell him something if you can talk to him one-on-one? I feel that he obviously used me, you know, to be an example and to tell him, like, hey, this is what he's saying. I heard a pastor once say that Jesus probably would have came back. He just waiting on us and trying to get his desire is to get as many souls saved as possible. Last but not least, real quick, there was a family member that was going through substance abuse problems, and you know, it kind of got out of hand. And I remember when I first found out, it kind of hurt me, because it's like, dang, that's not even you, man. Like, what are you doing? You know that's not you. Like, what happened, you know? And like I said, I was the only one bold enough to call him out, because I loved him. And of course, you don't want to see your loved ones going down that path, you know? It's like, I didn't condone the behavior, so I was gonna call it out, like, hey, that's not you, bro. And I wanted to cut into him, like, really bad, but I heard God say, don't do that. I said, okay. He was like, I'm like, what do you want me to tell him? Like, I gotta say something. Like, what you want me to say? And I remember having a dream, and I had a dream that he and I were sitting on my mom's couch, and I was, you know, flowing and talking. Okay, this is what God must, you know, want me to say. So when I seen him in church that Sunday, and he was heading out the door, and I pulled him aside, like, come here. I said, look, I said, God said, tell you that if you don't stop doing what you're doing, you're not gonna live to see another birthday. And he also said, you see what this has done to relatives, uncles, you know, friends, like, you see what it has done to them. So stop, cut it out. And I remember his eyes getting like buck, like quarters just open, like, oh my, he's like, who said? I'm like, God said that, man. And he was like, all right. So I remember maybe a month or two after that, he came to me happy. Like, I don't do that no more. You know, I'm good. You know, and I was proud of him. Like, okay, you know, that's what's up. Keep it going or whatever. And I think around 2020, late 2019, early, he ended up obviously slipping back, you know, backtracking, and he was due to go out of town with his family, his mom and him, and the day before he's supposed to left, they couldn't find him. So he like, okay, calling around, you seen him? Like, So it got to the point where they were about to put out a report, and Lord behold, before they did that, they found him in a vacant house next door to the family house, to my family house. Found him there. They've been looking for him for 2 days, and that's where he was, deceased. And all I could think of, why didn't he listen? You know, why didn't he listen? You know, I possibly thought, you know, down the line, obviously was going to leave, but I thought that God was going to spare him and he was going to change his life around, turn his life around. But, you know, it didn't go that way. And I think June I want to say 20th, 21st will be a year since he passed away. And like God said, he didn't make it to see that birthday. So that birthday that he said that he was gonna miss if he didn't stop, and he didn't live to see it. So that's how I know God is real. That's how I know he speaks to me. He speaks to me very openly. I know it's him. I know it's him when he speaks. I never had to question, is he real or not? Like, I mean, it's in plain sight. If that's not God, then I don't know what is, you know. So I hope that sent some encouragement. I hope that sent some encouragement to somebody that's asking the same question. Like I say, hopefully the testimonies that I gave today and just the life lessons that I went through, hopefully help somebody else. And that's the goal, pretty much, to help the next person. Like I said, we as Christians can't be selfish, because who am I to say I don't want to go through that when I know it's going to be somebody, my testimony, and it's going to help somebody. That's selfish to say I'm not going through that and, you know, lead the rest of the people down the line that is supposed to help hanging like that. So being a Christian is being unselfish. I pray that you guys received it. Give it a like, thumbs up, share, and I'll see you in the next video.